and welcome back to another episode of Chasing Zion 100. We are right around 1 week out from our sub 130 half marathon attempt and also about 13 weeks out from Zion 100. I'm so excited to take you guys along for a full day of workouts, and I'll definitely show you guys some meals as well that I'm eating along the day. But I wanted to check in with you guys and just kind of get a feel for how you're feeling about the new year. We're a couple weeks into January, so if you have goals that you want to accomplish, leave them in the comments below and tell me what you are actually training for and some things that maybe scare you about the goals that you're setting. So I definitely have some scary goals this year, and we'll talk about those a little bit later. But until then, I'm gonna walk you through a full day of workouts. Today we have a speed workout as well as a lower body lift. I got asked last week about how I structure my training, what it looks like to lift and run, etc. You guys saw a full week of running last week, so I wanna make sure that we're hitting on my strength training as well. I've slowly been deloading my lifting, which means that instead of working out to RPE 9, I'm slowly bringing RPE down. So RPE, if you don't know, is rate of perceived exertion. And generally I train to RPE 9, so right before failure, because I find that if I push my body to failure, I have a really hard time recovering. But if I teeter this line of RPE 9, I find myself to have really good workouts. I get stronger in the gym, but I also reap the benefits of strength training around failure. I like to deload around my races because I find that if I in that RPE 9 too close to races, it does impact my performance. So I'm starting to teeter back a little bit on my lifting intensity, but we're still getting great workouts in. We're still activating the muscles that we need to in this prep for not only my half marathon, but also for Zion 100. So I'm excited to take you guys along for a full day of lifting, maybe some meals, etc. But I'm so stoked. Welcome to another episode, Chasing Zion 100. Okay, so we just got to the track. We are gonna do a speed session today. I will walk you through what it looks like. I already programmed it onto my watch, so when I get onto the track, I can just hit my watch to bring me through the workout that we have for the day. So today we have 2 mile warm up plus strides, and then we have a 14 by 600 meter workout. So with 1 walk rests in between, we're gonna do 14 by 600 meters at a 6-minute per mile pace. And then 2 miles easy is going to be our cool down. So 14 by 600, that is the workout of the day. It's super cold. It's like 29 degrees outside. I am wearing shorts, but I am gonna wear a long sleeve and then potentially gloves and a puffer to warm up. That's been a hard thing to navigate with it being so cold on these speed days. Is it definitely does take me a little bit longer to warm up. Once the sun comes out and my body gets a little bit warm, I actually do okay in this degree of weather. So 29 degrees. Kind of been honestly on the warmer side of where we've been at for our morning. I do have Tyler here who's gonna help me film on the track. Hopefully get you guys some good shots as well. So let's go crush it. So I am gonna put on my New Balances for the day. I definitely am going to be racing the Austin International Half Marathon in the New Balance Super Comp Elites. I told you guys, I think it was a couple weeks ago, that I was testing out the Alpha Fly 3s versus the New Balance, and definitely am going to be racing in these babies. So I have the New York City Marathon colorway. These are the OG colorway, so this is what I will be racing in. A few reasons why I picked these over the Alpha Flies. Number one, I just feel like overall comfort level is much better in these. I don't know what it is about the Alpha Flies. I feel like something about them just doesn't feel super comfortable on my feet. So these are significantly more comfortable for me. Once again, I'm going to reiterate that what I like might not be what other people like based on my gait analysis, my shoe size. I'm a 6.5 in women's, so that's definitely going to be different than someone who's like a 12 in men's. And in general, I just feel like I am a midsole striker, so I'm not someone who runs on my forefoot, like completely on my forefoot. So I think I don't benefit as much from the Alpha Fly 3. So as a midfoot to forefoot striker, I definitely think that the fuel cells are a better option for me. Super comfortable, honestly, even straight off the bat. I love the New Balance. And you guys know that I've also been training a lot in New Balance, so maybe that's also what tipped my scale a little bit on these, is even my regular road running trainers are mostly New Balance. So I run in the Rebels as well as the Super Comp trainers. So that potentially could also be what kind of pushed me over to the New Balance racers. Today we are doing a 14 by 600 meter at 6 minute per mile pace here on the track, about 1 week out to my sub 130 half marathon attempt. All right, we are gonna do a 14 by 600 meter that's already listed here on my watch. I'm gonna keep my puffy on for the first couple laps because we have a 2 mile warm up. So let's get her done. All right, we did our 14 by 600 meters. That is done. We're gonna do a 2 mile cool down, and then we're gonna head home, eat some food, and then head to the gym. But I'm gonna close out this section here so I can get my cool down done. I'll catch you guys at the gym in just a bit. Okay, I've been asked a few times about how I stack my strength training workouts with my running. And the number one thing that I stack, and I think is important to stack according to what my training is for running, is specifically my lower body days. So this day is a speed day and is also going to be a lower body lift day. And the reason why I always will do my speed workouts before my lower body lifts is because I want to give that speed session 100% and I want to be able to recover adequately from this leg session before my long run days. So because my speed sessions are done in the middle of the week, I do them in the middle of the week and I like to stack them actually with my speed days. So if I'm gonna trash my legs from speed, I'm just gonna trash them in the gym as well. The first thing that we are starting off with today is the hip thrust. Something that I found to be a weakness of mine at level 100 was my glute strength. So when I was doing intense inclines for long periods of time, I found that my hamstrings were cramping up and I found that they were overly fatigued. And generally, if you're experiencing a lot of hamstring fatigue when you're going uphill, it can be attributed to having weak glutes. So I've been really focusing in this season of growing my glute strength and really focusing on that in my lower body days. So I always start with a compound lift like a hip thrust, and I find that hip thrusts really do help me to activate and isolate my glutes. Next, we went into RDLs, which I did a little heavier of a set at 135. These can be swapped with a dumbbell, or you can utilize a machine or even the Smith machine for RDLs, and if it helps you to maintain form. But for me, I always think about RDL as being a hinge. So instead of a squat or something where you're bending your knees first, I'm thinking about pushing my hips backwards and then trying to keep my knees as flexed, or I guess you can say rigid as possible as I'm going down in the movement. Then we move into Bulgarian split squats. You guys have seen me do these a million times all through Leadville. I hate these and love these at the same time. I feel like a Bulgarian split squat is the epitome of like a gym girl workout, but I tell you what, they are so effective when it comes to being an isometric, so single leg movement for glutes and for hamstrings. Here I set up with actually a more neutral approach. So you can actually be really forward leaning, you could be really backward leaning, depending on if you want to isolate either the quad or hit more of the glutes. And for me, I find that a balanced approach really allows me to isolate the glute and activate the glute in this way. Here I'm holding a plate, but I've done it with dumbbells, with kettlebells, barbells, whatever you'd like. I just felt like holding a plate today. And this does actually help to activate the core as well, which we'll get to a little bit later. Then we move into some knees over toes work, and I really, really love knees over toes. If you've ever heard of knees over toes, it's actually created by a guy named Ben Patrick, and he is incredible when it comes to this specific type of movement. It's kind of going against everything that we've been taught in lifting, in even getting a NASM certification. It goes against everything because it's actually causing us to put our knee over our toes in movements. By being able to load your knees over your toes progressively and effectively and consistently, it allows you to actually strengthen these smaller muscles that don't get utilized enough. And because they're not utilized enough, we find that knee injuries can happen, especially in older athletes or people who are newer to running. So I definitely am in the camp of doing these over toes and practicing this often because I'm a trail runner. I want to be doing this for a long period of time. In addition to this, I also did tib raises. So these are specifically for the tibialis, which is in front of your shin. Once again, a super crucial muscle to be activating if you're a runner, and specifically if you're doing any sort of downhill running. And last but not least, we ended with some abs. This is definitely the bane of my existence. I hate doing abs. I feel like everyone who's ever done anything in the gym hates doing abs, but I find them to be really important for training specifically for races. So if you're a runner and you don't do abs, I would definitely encourage you to do so. Number one, you can see your form break down over time if you have a weak core. So breaking down means leaning from one side to the other, leaning forward, leaning back, anything that's causing your core to bend and break from its actually strong rooted position of being upright and strong. We want to make sure that we're activating our core. And for me, planks and side planks are one of the best things for core. I definitely do other core exercises as well. You guys have seen me do those in the past, but I think these are my go-to everyday ab workouts, is just the plank and the side plank. Nothing too fancy here, but just a good side plank and plank superset. Last thing that we did was just a quick stretch post-workout. This is something that I try to incorporate every single time that I lift because I find myself to really tighten up, especially after speed and legs in the same day. So I just throw in a quick stretch to make sure that my body is a little bit more loosened up before I jump into the car. Once again, I mentioned earlier, we're a little bit in a deload for this race that we have coming up in less than 2 weeks. I hope this voiceover was helpful walking through some of these exercises. I'll catch you guys back at home. We are back home. I'm gonna do a quick sauna and cold plunge session, and I get asked questions about this all the time. I always like to start in the sauna with 15 to 20 minutes in the sauna. This has been helping me get ready for Zion 100 as far as heat acclimation goes. So there are studies to indicate a increase of heat acclimation if you incorporate heat training, so sauna, after running. So this is something that I've been incorporating to help me get ready for Zion 100. And I like cold plunging because I do feel like it helps me with my recovery. So I generally start with 15 to 20 minutes in the sauna, then I'll do 3 minutes in the cold plunge, and I'll repeat that a couple of times. If it is too close to bedtime, I will end on hot because the cold plunge can ignite your norepinephrine and adrenaline levels essentially to wake you up. So I don't want that too close to bed. So I will end on hot if that is the case. But if I do it earlier in the day, I will just end on cold. I'm gonna do that. I feel like that's been really helping with my recovery as mileage has been building. In addition to that, I've also been incorporating the Hyper Ice Normatec boots, which are compression on the legs. It feels so good. Honestly, there's not a ton of data to support this. It's essentially as good for recovery as a massage is, which also oddly doesn't have a ton of actual tangible data on improving performance, but it does definitely help me feel better, which improves performance. So if you believe in placebo effect and or believe in compression and massage, the Normatec boots are honestly awesome. I definitely believe in them. I think they've helped me a lot in my recovery and definitely helped me feel a little bit more fresh for my next workout the following day. So let's get that recovery in before we get some food in, and yeah, crush it. So we did our little sauna and cold plunge, and now it is time to have some dinner. This is definitely more of an anomaly than it is a staple in the diet, but I will say I love me a meal that feels a little bit like childhood, so this definitely feels that way. This is actually a vegan and gluten-free mac and cheese that honestly has really good ingredients. There's nothing in this that I can't pronounce, and honestly, it's super tasty. So it is vegan, gluten-free mac and cheese by Goodles called Vegan Be Heroes. The reason why I do the vegan is because I'm allergic to dairy, not because I don't necessarily think dairy is the devil. Also, I have celiac. I feel like I always have to preface this. So I don't think that gluten is inherently evil by any means, but I just can't have it. So I put elk in this mac and cheese and I make it into elk mac, and it's so delicious. So we are finishing today with this as dinner. So this is what the mac looks like with some elk in it that's pre-cooked from this morning. And then I throw this little cheesy packet in. I do think that the base of this is cashew milk as well as nutritional yeast, and I love nutritional yeast in a lot of different meals. So honestly, this is such a good flavor for something like mac and cheese. So I think also mushrooms might be a big ingredient for the flavor as well. So delicious, mix her up, and this is the final product. So I'm gonna eat this and head to bed. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Chasing Zion 100. I hope that you enjoyed watching today's video and this style of video. If you did like it, please let me know in the comments below. If you are not subscribed yet, please go ahead and do that. It really does help me out. I look forward to a full year of so many incredible things and hopefully getting to see some of you guys in person, because I know some of you who watch also race as well. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Stay unbreakable.